Hi, we're two nerdy nerds.
And last year we released our first game on Steam, Super Cat Cafe Sandwich Rush.
For our second game, we're doing a zombie horde survival roguelike with a twist. And this time, we'd love to share a bit more of the development process.
Let us take you through the very first month of our development.
So, in this game, you play as the quirky Dr. J. Ferret, who against all odds has developed a cure for the zombie outbreak. And here's the fun part. Instead of fighting to survive, you're just fighting to save the infected and turn them back into humans. Reclaim the Living was born out of a game jam entry we created in early 2024, and we really fell in love with the character and the general idea of the game. We only worked on our entry for about a month, and now, after a year, we want to bring it back to life.
It's a mix of sci-fi, 90s cartoons, action, and overall silliness. And even though it has zombies, we're retaining our studio's family-friendly vibe. The game is a horde survival roguelike where you'll be building up your secret lab and then setting out into the world to cure the zombies and rescue all the survivors. For art direction, we both agreed that the game needed a complete visual overhaul now that this has turned into a commercial project. Since our prototype was made for a game jam, it meant that we only had a very limited amount of time to bring it to life. And while we don't think the jam version's art and design is bad by any means, we do want to take the opportunity to really polish our vision for it and make it the best that it can be. We still wanted to keep the simple cartoon essence, but really refine it and make it more bold and graphic. Our inspiration for the style and the overall vibe are the cartoons we grew up with, such as Dexter's Lab, the Powerpuff Girls, and Invader Zim, as well as modern animations like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Keeping this in mind, I gave the dog a little makeover which saw him turn into a sassy yet slightly mad scientist. I also then did a quick and dirty concept for what the new world around him would look like in our new 2.5D perspective, and this then helped us establish some key visual principles to follow when designing new assets. For example, everything will have simple cell shading, dark contrasting outlines, and most importantly, we will make use of halftone textures throughout to create visual interest. With those principles established, I started drawing a couple more assets to bring into the game so we could start to see the way they come together and determine what we like and don't like. Thankfully, we're quite happy with the direction it's going, and we feel confident that our 2D assets are looking cohesive and pretty darn cool. In our next devlog, I'll talk more about how we will be bringing 3D assets into the mix, as well as developing the visual style and design for some UI elements, so stay tuned.
So last year, we managed to finish and release a game, a 2D game. I overall felt pretty confident with Godot, but since with this new project we decided to add a whole extra dimension, it was a pretty humbling experience to once again feel like a fish out of water. A few months ago, we decided to make a little prototype so we could learn 3D game development. It was honestly a great way to learn the ropes of 3D game dev. You know, meshes, materials, grid maps, 3D camera perspective, and very important for the style we're going for, understanding how working with Godot and the tools I have available, how to do 2D characters in a 3D environment. For those of you interested, I'm currently using a sub-viewport to render our 2D character animations onto a 3D sprite. Since it's so easy to work with a sub-viewport in 2D scenes, I'm really hoping this won't become a problem in the future and I can just use this approach, but I guess we'll find out. I also needed to figure out how to get the sprites to look right depending on the camera position. So I built a little camera tool to be able to experiment with it, have the sprites be correctly angled towards the camera, and just quickly iterate and get it looking right. Another thing I wanted to experiment with early is how the zombie horde behaves and interacts with itself. Ideally, we'd love to have tons of zombies on screen at certain points, so it's really important that the horde is performant enough, and more importantly, is looking great. So initially, I set up the zombies to have hard collisions with one another, which resulted in really strange behavior. So currently, I'm using a soft body collision approach where zombies can overlap and push each other apart as needed, and that felt a whole lot better. I'd say overall, I'm pretty happy with current progress, but I'm still very much at a stage where sometimes I struggle to find answers to questions I have, just because I don't really know how to ask the right question. 3D game dev introduces a bunch of terms and concepts I'm not really familiar with, so it'll take me a bit of time to get comfortable with it all. In our next devlog, I'll be implementing the roguelike upgrade system and working on the UI. I'm really looking forward to taking you through that.
If you want to stay up to date, make sure to check out future devlogs or follow our journey live on Twitch.
What do you think of the game so far? Let us know in the comments, and if you have any cool ideas for it, please make sure to let us know.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll catch you next time.
Bye!